They haven't yet. We have hints that we're going to get a proposal on some of the more material issues shortly, but they've been principally confined the last several days with clearing the underbrush.
Your meeting with the commissioner privately. What does this mean in connection with Marvin Miller, the man who's done so much for the players? This does not mean that he's ousted, does it?
Well, it's a funny question. Of course, it doesn't mean that he's ousted. Marvin is in a unique position, in a unique capacity. He's someone that I turn to for advice and counsel, but that's the role, that of an advisor and a counselor.
In other words, you have total authority to make the deal.
It's subject only to the executive board and ratification by the players, yes.
Now it's warm and humid in the Motor City as the Royals and the Detroit Tigers get ready to do battle. And good evening once again, and welcome to Tiger Stadium. I'm Don Drysdale along with Tim McCarver. Very interesting, that one point that the commissioner said, Timmy, that he can certainly move it on to his constituents, and evidently that it could be Lee McPhail taking the owner's side and moving on to the commissioner if there's going to be an agreement.
And it seems like over the past few weeks, different from the 1981 strike, before that strike, it seems like the sentences and all the verbiage was very, very coarse. And it seems to be a softening of the rhetoric, and this is only a continuing of the soft rhetoric that we've been hearing over the past couple of weeks.
Well, this next week will certainly be a very important week as far as Major League Baseball is concerned in 1985, but tonight there's things to do. These players are still trying to go out there and put the strike away from them. Brett Saberhagen, Dan Petrie, a good pitching matchup.
I should say so. As a matter of fact, Brett Saberhagen won his first Major League game against these Detroit Tigers.
We'll be right back here at Tiger Stadium and get ready for Dan Petrie, Brett Saberhagen, the Tigers and the Royals, right after this commercial timeout. Now back here at Tiger Stadium as the Royals and the Detroit Tigers get ready to do battle. The Royals, they have been on a roll. They have won 6 in a row. They come into tonight's game with a record of 52-44, 3 games behind California. Willie Wilson will lead it off, and he'll be in center field with Lonnie Smith batting second. Smith will be in left field. George Brett will hit third, and he will play third base. Batting fourth, the designated hitter is Hal McRae, with Dane Orge batting fifth. He'll be in right field. Batting sixth and at second base, the veteran Frank White. Batting seventh and at first base, he's been hot, Steve Balboni. Hitting eighth and doing the catching, Jim Sundberg. And batting ninth, and the shortstop is Onyx Concepcion.
And defensively for the hometown world champions, Barbaro Garbet is in left field, Chet Lemon in center, and there's Kirk Gibson. Some people think that Kirk eventually will be an MVP choice here in the American League. Few arguments there. Darrell Evans at third base, one of several starts for Darrell this year. Pat Trammell and Lou Whitaker, no one will argue, one of the best double play combinations in the American League. Dave Bergman, a slick fielding first baseman, and Lance Parrish behind the plate. Lance's first start since July 10th. So now with a bad back, and the pitcher on the mound, Dan Petrie. And we'll check Dan after we look at those dimensions. 340, 365 in the left center. 400 into deep left center, straightaway center field 440, and it's 415 into deep right center, and that overhang in right field. And Dan will try to prevent the Kansas City hitters from reaching those dimensions. Dan 11-9, a 3.48, his 23rd start of the year. He has 6 complete games. He has walked 49 and struck out 72. Dan Petrie. The Tigers right now happy to have their big burly catcher behind the plate, Lance Parrish. He's been out with a bad lower back, but he's back. As you look at the American League Eastern standings, you see Toronto a 7-game lead over the Yankees, 8.5 over Detroit, then Boston, Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. In the West, California 3 over Kansas City. They're gaining. Oakland 5 back. The White Sox, Seattle, Minnesota, and Texas. But right here, getting ready to go, Willie Wilson to lead it off for Kansas City. And the Royals come to town. That number by Wilson that he is wearing, that's exactly the winning streak that the Royals come into tonight's game with. 6. Wilson hitting .294, 4 home runs and 26 RBI. A switch hitter, and will hit from the left side off of the right-handed pitching of Dan Petrie. It's been warm here in the Motor City this afternoon, a warm evening tonight. And the first pitch, a little bit outside. There's your men in blue tonight, Tim Wilkes.
Yastrzemski behind the plate. Jerry Neudecker at first. John Hirschbeck at second, and Steve Palermo over at third. A ball and a strike. Now, Timmy, I know going through the National League Park, you do not have a vantage point like you have here at Tiger Stadium. This is amazing.
I feel like I ought to don the equipment again. Talk about close.
You are right here. That's not Petrie. Here comes Trammell. He's got to hurry. Lays back, throws, and they can't get him. Once he laid back, it was all over. Boy, that just shows you the speed of Willie Wilson.
You had the key right there. He did lay back on that one hop. You either got to short hop that ball and throw off balance, or you don't make the play. Not with Wilson running. Man, he's had a ton of hits like that throughout his career.
Oh, he can pick him up and lay him down, and so can this man right here, Lonnie Smith, hitting .243 with a pair of home runs and 19 RBIs. You're going to have to keep an eye on Wilson. Wilson with 30 stolen bases on the year. Dave Bergman will hold him. Petrie will try and keep him close. Wilson stolen 25 bases against the Tigers' lifetime. They've only caught him 5 times. As Smith takes a strike. But against Oakland, there's a club that he has had carte blanche against. 44 stolen bases, caught 4 times. Whitaker, he's got one eye on Wilson and one eye on Lonnie Smith as Petrie will chase him back.
Petrie has the best move among Tiger starters. He picked off 2 runners last year, and he is the only Tiger starter who picked off at least 2 base runners.
Now Wilson at first will keep an eye on him. There he goes. The pitch is strike, throw through, not in time. Number 31 for Willie Wilson. Boy, he had a jump.
He had a great jump, and one of the stories coming into this game was whether Lance Parrish's back was well enough. This is his first start since July 10th. And watching him come up first, he really didn't come out to throw this ball. He comes straight up, and that back really looked like it was bothering him. Lou Whitaker made a nice play to save the ball going into center field.
Now you've got Willie Wilson at second base, and the count is 0-2 to Lonnie Smith with Brett on deck. Moving back to his regular position. That breaking pitch down low, and the count 1-2. An amazing story about these Kansas City Royals in the 6-game winning streak. I was talking with Tracy Ringlesby, one of the writers that follows the beat with the Kansas City Royals. He said Willie Wilson only scored 1 run in that 6-game winning streak. George Brett did not knock in any.
That's right. That's because they've been either pitching around him or walking him intentionally. He was walked 3 times intentionally by the Cleveland Indians in Saturday's ball game.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Lonnie Smith. Wilson at second. He can get a good lead. Bounce to the hole. They've got to hurry on Lonnie Smith because he can run. They get him. Alan Trammell has got an excellent arm. He throws so easy, and the ball has something on it. There's Trammell. He's been out a little bit this year with a little tender arm, but back in the lineup now. The Tigers just have not had the consistency that they had last year. Of course, when you forget about the 35-5 start. I think that's one of the big things that you have to forget about. That is a freak start. Nobody's done that. As you look at Brett, right there, second in the American League with that .351 average, 14 home runs, 63 RBIs. And George likes this ballpark. Misses low, the count 1-0.
First time these 2 teams faced this year, George Brett had 2 two-run homers off of Dan Petrie. Brett Saberhagen was the winning pitcher in that ball game.
There's the strike to Brett, and the count 1-1. Well, here's where you have first base open. You've got Hal McRae on deck, so you might think really here in the first inning. And you've got to think that way, Timmy. When you go out there and you realize, you look at that opponent that you're pitching against and know that he's been hot and he is not giving up a lot of runs, you play that first inning like it would be maybe the 7th or 8th or even 9th inning. If you're out there pitching, that's a little bit it low. The count 2 balls and a strike.
Well, they're game situations. Sometimes game situations crop up in the first 3 innings. They don't necessarily have to be in the last 3 innings.
Boy, that is so true. 2-1 to Brett. Wilson at second base. Game just underway. Slight breeze blowing to right. That's fouled away, and the count goes even 2-2. There's a story. Lou Piniella managing that ball club. Billy Martin will be hospitalized for, we understand, a couple of more days. A freak accident to Billy. He was getting a shot for a lower back problem, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, a lung was punctured. And Billy's in the hospital. So Lou Piniella taking over as the interim manager of the New York Yankees. That's foul left side, and the count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. Of course, there was a lot of speculation that when Yogi Berra was over there, Piniella as a coach, that just kind of grooming Piniella as maybe a future manager for the New York Yankees. He was a good baseball man.
Even when Billy Martin took over, he even said that Piniella was going to be the next manager of the Yankees, and Billy Martin would be his tutor, pretty good tutor.
That's a tough way to be a tutor, the way Billy's going about it.
4 times.
Change, foul away. The count remains 2-2. And an even tougher way for Billy to give Lou his first managerial debut. 2-2. Leave it to Bill. The outfield playing Brett slightly to pull. Of course, George will tell you that this ballpark, you can hit him out in left as well as you can hit him in right. You mentioned that 325 down that right field line, a good left-hand hitter's ballpark. That's it to straightaway center. And a long way to go for Lemon. Tagging is Wilson. Lemon back, makes the catch right at the 400-foot marker. Wilson tags, goes to third, and they'll hold him right there. As Lemon got it in a hurry. Fine running catch by Chester Lemon.
Not too many center fielders in baseball can play this shallow and go back like Lemon can. This ball hit a ton into left center field right at the 400-foot mark. Lemon not only gets back under it, but he's got a chance to set himself and make a good strong throw to keep Wilson from scoring. A lot of guys would take their time getting the ball back to the infield. You don't do that with Willie Wilson.
Not with Willie Wilson, or you're down a run real quick.
Right.
Here's Hal McRae, the designated hitter, hitting .248, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs. Hal has a 6-game hitting streak. He's been hitting well. That's inside, to count 1-0. Got to believe that the breeze that is blowing across from left to right might have helped Lemon in that ball a little bit. That ball could have been slicing back a little bit more, and it could have been trouble. McRae, weak swing on a breaking pitch, and the count goes even at 1-1. Upshaw and Witt have homered for Toronto. Boy, those Blue Jays are hot. 3-0 over Baltimore already.
Tigers 8.5 back, and the Yankees 7 back in second place. Just 8 days ago, the Yankees were 1.5 back in second.
Outside the count. 2 balls and a strike. Well, it was just a while back that Kansas City was about that far behind California. California went into Toronto and got swept 4 games in a row. The strike and the count goes even 2-2. The first time that the Angels have lost 4 in a row this year. And it came last weekend, over a long weekend, up in Canada. There's Willie Wilson at third. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. No score in the ball game. Got him looking. So McRae is gone. The Royals are gone. No runs on a hit, no errors, and a man left after the first half inning of play. Kansas City nothing, and the Detroit Tigers coming up.
I'm Al Trautwig in New York, checking in on the best team in baseball, the Blue Jays, who have won 8 straight.
second inning in Baltimore. Willie Upshaw takes this Mike Boddicker pitch out of Memorial Stadium. Ernie Witt, the next batter, hit one out too. It's 3-0 in the third. Now back to Don Drysdale at Tiger Stadium.
And we'll take a look at the Detroit Tiger lineup that'll face Saberhagen. Lou Whitaker will lead it off and play second base. Batting second, and the shortstop will be Alan Trammell. Hitting third in right field, Kurt Gibson. Batting fourth, back in the lineup, Lance Parrish. Hitting fifth, and at third base will be Darrell Evans. Hitting sixth, and in left field, Barbaro Garbe. Hitting seventh, the designated hitter will be Johnny Grubb. And Chet Lemon will bat eighth. He will be in center field. And Dave Bergman batting ninth, and he'll be the first baseman.
And defensively for the Kansas City Royals, Lonnie Smith, Willie Wilson, of course. Anything without a hump on it, he can run down. Dane Orge in right field. George Brett, who wants to win a Gold Glove with all his other accomplishments. And Concepcion, Onyx Concepcion, Frank White, a 6-time Gold Glover, Steve Balboni, and Jim Sundberg behind the plate, and Brett Saberhagen. 11-5 record with a 2.95 ERA. He is 4-2 lifetime against the Tigers. 3-1 last year.
Saberhagen has won 4 of his last 5 as Whitaker stands in to lead it off. First pitch hit down the left field line. Lonnie Smith moving over, has a play, and makes the catch. So 1 pitch and 1 out. And that'll bring on Alan Trammell, the shortstop, hitting .266 with 8 home runs and 32 RBIs. Saberhagen was born in Chicago but raised in Southern California. Out in the Valley, makes his home now in Reseda.
And George Brett is nicknamed him Catfish. Really reminds me of Catfish Hunter. That's a pretty good compliment, isn't it?
It sure is. Here's Trammell. Takes down low, the count 1-0. Saberhagen is 6'1", 160-pounder, slim right-hander. Good control. With Kurt Gibson on deck. We'll see the numbers on Trammell. Off the end of the bat, shallow right. Here comes Orge. Plenty of room. Makes the catch. And there's 2 gone. Quickly, 3 pitches, 2 outs, and here's Kurt Gibson. Gibson has hit safely in 16 of his last 21 ball games, hitting .292, 19 home runs, 65 RBIs. Gibson, excellent speed. You see those 65 RBIs, 4th in the American League. He's behind Mattingly, Murray, and Ripken. Takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Here's a guy that I love to watch him play. I'll tell you, he improved so much throughout his career as he takes a strike, and the count very quickly 0-2.
Well, the fact is, Donnie will play. He was hit on the elbow in Friday night's game in Minnesota. Rushed to the hospital for x-rays. He said, I'm playing the next day. Nobody thought he could, but he did.
A 2-strike pitch, missing outside, and the count goes to 1-2. Now, here's the kind of guy that you've heard people say and coin the phrase that I'd pay to watch him play, and that's the way you're going to be talking about Mr. Kurt Gibson before his career is over. Got him. So very quickly, 3 up, 3 down, and the Tigers are gone. No score after 1, and we'll return to ABC's Monday Night Baseball after this message and a word from our local station. As we go to the top half of the second inning, it'll be Dane Orge to lead it off. He'll be followed by Frank White and then Steve Balboni in that order. That'll face right-hander Dan Petrie. Petrie, his 23rd start of the year, a 4-5 lifetime mark against Kansas City. Dane has been hot. Well, if you look at that .213 average, you can say, where in the world was he? Well, he was down a little bit. There's no question about that. Fastball taken high. Orge, he's had 8 hits in his last 26 at-bats, including 9 RBIs, and in those 9 RBIs, 3 of those were game-winning RBIs. That's hit to left center field. Lemon giving ground, has a play, and the baseball went away.
John, you mentioned the consistency of the Detroit Tigers this year. I don't think anybody on their ball club is evident of that fact other than Dan Petrie. Dan Petrie, 3-8 at home and 8-1 on the road. And the Tigers, some kind of home ball club last year. He's won only 3 games while losing 8 at home.
The Tigers this year at home are just 2 over the 500 mark. They have won 24 while losing 22. They have struggled against Western Division competition this year with a 28-31 mark. As Frank White stands in, takes a strike in the count, 0-1. In the month of July, all but 3 games have been against the West, and it's really been a struggle. After the All-Star break, 4-7. Overall last year, they were 57-27 at this stage against the West. Like you said, that's their yearly mark against the West.
30 over 500. Unbelievable.
Frank White, he's having quite a year. Right there, he did pretty good at Tiger Stadium this year. Frank hitting .241, 15 home runs, and 48 RBI. Breaking pitch taken low, and the count 1-2.
15 home runs. He had 17 home runs back in '82. Of course, he's hitting in the middle of the order now. He's not hitting down 8th and 9th. He's getting a lot better pitches to look at.
The count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. Detroit, we mentioned against the West 28-31, but they have fared well against their Eastern Division counterparts, the ones that they're going to have to win or have to beat to win this thing. They're 24-13 against Eastern Division competition within their own division. That's fouled right side. And the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. 2-run double by Keith Hernandez, and the Mets are still batting in the first inning, leading Montreal 2-0. If you're going to pitch to a field at Tiger Stadium, it's right straight away center field. That's hit hard. Backhanded nicely by Evans, and they throw him out. Good play by the veteran infielder.
So we're talking about Frank White staying on this ball. This is a nasty slider away. Look at the front shoulder. The shoulder opens up the hands, and he hit a rocket. And Darrell Evans made a super play. That's Darrell Evans' initial position, but he has played mostly first base throughout the course of this season.
Here's Steve Balboni hitting .257 with 18 home runs and 50 RBIs. He has a 9-game hitting streak in which he's hitting .406. There's the strike on the off-speed pitch. He's had 4 home runs and 9 RBIs during that streak and has raised his average 15 points. Hard and hooking foul down the line.
Well, when the Kansas City Royals lost Willie Aikens to the Toronto Blue Jays, they got Jorge Orta in return. They went out and got themselves a legitimate power hitter. And this young fella is a legitimate power hitter. George Orta.
Got him on the breaking pitch, and a good slider, and Petrie has one. So the Royals are gone 1-2-3 in the second inning, and after 1.5 from Tiger Stadium, it's Kansas City nothing and the Detroit Tigers nothing. Well, that'll be coming your way. The PGA Golf Championship, the 3rd and final round from Cherry Hills Country Club in Denver. Defending champion Lee Trevino. That'll be live at 3:30 Eastern. Oh, that'll be a dandy. Trevino and crew from Cherry Hills Country Club in Denver, right here on ABC. Here's Lance Perry. And good to see the big man back. Well, by that round of applause that these Tiger fans have missed him, along with his teammates, hitting .259, 12 home runs and 53 RBI. Ball and no strikes as you look at George Anderson down in the Tiger dugout. And there he is. They call him Slick. Dick Hauser, skipper and a good one of the Kansas City Royals.
He is that Slick. He is a good manager. Won 103 ball games for the Yankees in his only year there. That's all.
Well, he is. They've got 2 good managers here in this ballpark tonight. There's a strike to Parrish. And the count goes 2-1. On On deck, Darrell Evans. No score, bottom half of the second inning. The Tigers and the Royals. On that outside corner, good breaking pitch by Saberhagen. He has excellent control.
I was interested in reading Parrish's comments in the Detroit News about his first at-bat since July 10th on Saturday's game. Butterflies.
Over Saberhagen, charged by Concepcion. The big hop to get him. Here's Darrell Evans coming to the plate. This was yesterday from the Metrodome. Number 300 for Darrell. Boy, I'll tell you, he is mighty thrilled with that. And the thing that makes him so happy is that ball came back in the ballpark, and he has his legitimate 300th home run. Tied for second in the American League in the home run department. Darrell hitting .244, 22 home runs, and the 52 RBIs. Takes a strike. Of course, Carlton Fisk of the White Sox leading the American League with 26. And Jimmy Presley of Seattle with 22. Evans with 22. 1 ball and 1 strike. I think Sundberg wanted that, and so did Saberhagen.
Think of the records that would go down the tubes this year if the players strike a week from tomorrow.
Oh, boy. Not only playing records, but attendance records and things like that. All kinds of things that be thrown in the bin.
Pete Rose going for 4,000. Rod Carew going for 3,000. Seaver going for 300.
Necro for 300. Takes a strike, and the count 2-2.
Don Sutton with an outside chance for 300.
Right. Saberhagen, when he came into professional ball, he had just a fastball on the curve. He didn't learn the slider until 1983, his first season in the minor league. Kind of like a slurve. That's hit hard. Balboni right there. He'll go to the bag and do it himself, and very quickly 2 gone.
Talking to Gary Blaylock, the pitching coach of the Royals, and he told me when Saberhagen is getting his breaking ball over behind in the count, that's when he can shut out a team. He does not know what the middle of the plate is. Have you ever seen a young pitcher come up and have an idea about pitching like this young Saberhagen?
Oh, he's got a great one, and you could see that last year. Well, you've got two of the youngest pitchers in the major leagues, one in the American League and one in the National League. As Barbaro Garbet takes the breaking pitch for the strike, hitting .271, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, and of course I'm talking about Dwight Gooden and Brett Saberhagen. Dropped from the side with that sidearm breaking pitch. A ball and a strike to count.
Blaylock told me that Sundberg has helped Saberhagen a great deal, too. Over 1,500 games experience behind the plate.
There's a good fastball in the count, 2-1. Well, that's one of the big things that Jim Sundberg can do so well. He can help out a staff. He wants that fastball outside. Look at him move out there. This is a little high. You can see the tailing effect of the fastball of Saberhagen. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. We're in the bottom of the second inning and no score. The only hit of the ball game by the Royals, an infield single by the leadoff hitter Willie Wilson. Had him flying a little looper to Concepcion at short. And Detroit will go very quietly in the second inning, 1-2-3. So we're through 2 from Tiger Stadium. It's the Royals nothing and the Tigers nothing. George Anderson loves baseball, and prior to the game I asked him, is it still fun, and how long is he going to stay around?
The game is fun, Don. I tell you, even fun when things are going bad, because I think it really tests you as a person. Can you stand there? Can you hold it in? Can you take the job yourself? You know, can you get up in the morning the next day and go at it? I don't think there's any greater test in sports for you as a person to be able to walk among the other people and say, hey, I've been through the torture test and I didn't bend. Yeah, I wouldn't trade this, you know, all the good years I've had and even the bad times I've had for one moment of work. You know, to me, I never had to work a day in my life. I wouldn't and trade this, and I'm not going to trade it in. I think when it gets all said and done down, they'll come and rip my uniform out of the locker and say, get the heck out of here. We are sick and tired of seeing you. That'll be when I go.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, George. As Jimmy Sundberg has the count, 2 balls and a strike. At least I hope not. And so do many other people.
Certainly not soon, I'll tell you that.
Now, sir. Sundberg, Concepcion, and Wilson. That's foul back and out of play. Now the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sundberg, you see, against Petrie, has not fared that well. Just 107, 3 hits and 28 at bats. Petrie can be tough. Pops him up right in the middle of the infield. Evans calling. And there's one away. Well, with 1 out, that will bring on the shortstop, Onyx Concepcion. Concepcion, he's been having a tough year. Actually, being Kalana more or less won the job recently, but he has been put on the disabled list with back spasms. They called up Jimmy Scranton from Omaha, so Concepcion is in the lineup now. Takes a breaking pitch. Combined, being Kalana and Concepcion are hitting 173 with a pair of home runs and 16 RBIs. And that's not going to fare too well with the manager. But the Royals have still been playing well.
It's hard to believe, really. Concepcion batted .282 last year. In the second half of the season, he led all major league hitters with over 150 at-bats. Batted .370. Now, how do you fall off 100 points in July from the year before?
Well, that's amazing, and that's what Dick Hauser is hoping right now, that since he's had to put him back in there, that maybe he'll regain that stroke from 1984. A 1-2 pitch foul right side. Bergman moving over might have a play as he gets to the box seat, but that'll go back a couple of rows. Freddie Lynn has hit his 17th home run of the year. In the 4th inning, it's now Toronto 3 and Baltimore 2. Boddicker on the mound for the Orioles.
Not really pleasant memories for Concepcion facing Dan Petrie. He was plunked on the left wrist by a fastball last August 27th. Out for 27 games as a result.
Yep, almost got it again. 2-2. That's just what he said right there. Aye. 2-2 the count. For Toronto, their fine young left-hander, Jimmy Key, facing Baltimore and Mike Boddicker. Look out, that got him. Now Petrie got him again. Concepcion saying, why me?
Obviously no intent here. You're not trying to hit the number 9 hitter with 1 out, nobody on, and a scoreless ball game. But you got to pitch inside, and sometimes some things like that do happen. A tailing fastball came in, and Concepcion had no chance to get out of the way.
Here's Willie Wilson. Had the infield single to Alan Trammell. His first time at bat. That's the only hit in the ball game. Concepcion at first. He has good speed. As Wilson takes a strike. We're talking about hitting people. Petrie hit Willie Wilson in 1980. On the right cheekbone. Petrie very upset. Sent a telegram to Willie telling him it was unintentional. Wilson with his 4 home runs this year. Now you might say with his speed, in which he has done many times in the past, thinking about inside the park home runs, but they've all gone over the wall. The off-speed pitch up high. That is a pitch right there, the change. It has got Petrie in some problems this year, and especially right here in this ballpark.
Yeah, because if you make a mistake with that changeup and that short porch out there, you make a power hitter out of a guy with mediocre power.
A ball and a strike. Low and inside, and the count goes 2-1.
Reason for that, Don, if you're throwing hard stuff and you make a mistake with a fastball or a good hard slider, a hitter doesn't have a chance to adjust. But if you can fool him on a high changeup and he can stride, and with his hands back, he can turn that mistake into a home run if he keeps his hands back.
And, of course, especially in this ballpark, as you come in at 325 down the right field line, 340 down the left field line. That's line to left, and that's going to be a base hit. Garbay's got to get on it in a hurry. Concepcion going to go to third. He bobbles the ball and goes to third with Wilson going to second base. Now the Royals have runners at second and third, and only one out, and that will bring on Lonnie Smith.
Good base running by Concepcion. Willie Wilson will be given a double, but he was really the trail runner on that. They are going to give him a single, and second base on the throw, I say. Well, good base running. That little bobble right there sent Concepcion to third, and you're much more willing to take a chance going to third with one out than you are with none out or two out.
And, of course, that play right in front of him all the way.
Right.
And it's much easier for Concepcion there, as Lonnie Smith will be the hitter. So the single for Wilson to second on the throw. He has the two Kansas City hits. And now Petrie in a little bit of a jam with one out. There's no score. We're in the top of the third. The count. Lonnie Smith a while back making a comment that he wanted to go back to the other league. He wasn't happy in the American League. You see the sequence signs by Parrish. Look out. That just about nailed him. A ball and a strike. Away, and the count goes a ball and two strikes. So the Royals with Concepcion at third, and you've got Willie Wilson at second. There's one out. We're in the top of the third inning. No score in the ball game.
Well, he went away with the slider, in with the fastball, and away with the slider. He's throwing here.
Now you got him 1 and 2, and Petrie has a dandy slider if he's right.
Like another heater inside.
Missing low, the count 2-2.
If you have thoughts of pitching around him, no way with Mr. Brett on deck. Not even close.
That's like someone standing there at the door of the lion's cage. You going to open it or keep it closed? 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Concepcion can get a good lead as Evans is quite a ways behind the bag and off the line. That's foul away. So the count remains 2-2. The outfield about straight away. Garbay, Lemon, and Gibson from left to right. Your infield of Evans, Trammell, Whitaker, and Bergman from third to first. And your battery of Parrish and Petrie. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Lonnie Smith with George Brett on deck. Swing on a slider, foul away, and the count remains 2-2.
Lonnie Smith, of course, originally with the Phillies. He went to the St. Louis Cardinals in that three-way trade through Cleveland. And the Cardinals could afford to give him to Kansas City or trade him to Kansas City with the coming of Vince Coleman.
Well, I guess there was the coming of Vince Coleman. He came with a bang. A 2-2 pitch. A little bit low. The count full of 3-2. So here's the man that Petrie really wants, because then it can give him the option of doing what he wants to do with Brett, with a right-handed hitting McRae following Brett. But you've got to get by Smith first. Pops him up, and he's going to get by him. Here's Gibson. Tagging Concepcion. Gibson with the catch, and they start him and then hold him right there. Johnny Smith cannot do anything. There's 2 outs.
Actually, Gibson caught that ball on the wrong foot, his left foot going back, and he was just too close. Concepcion did draw the throw, but he was just too close out there. No way to challenge him with Brett and McRae coming up.
Actually, Gibson got underneath that ball a little bit. I mentioned before that the breeze is blowing to right. And it looks like when he got there, he just got underneath the ball a little bit and then had to catch it flat-footed. As George Brett will be the hitter, and they're going to walk him. They won't even mess with it.
Don, this is the 23rd intentional walk of the year for George Brett. The American League record is 33, held by Theodore Williams in 1957. Man.
Well, speaking of Ted Williams, yesterday, of course, the induction ceremonies at Cooperstown, and I had a chance to watch Ted and the statue that they made of him as you look at Dick Hauser in that Kansas City dugout. And George Anderson over in the Tiger dugout. Boy, I'll tell you, that was quite a compliment to Ted Williams. They have one there, and that's a big hand, life-size carving of Babe Ruth, and now they have 2, Ruth and Williams. Can't go bad with that vanilla. Here's Hal McRae, caught looking his first time at bat. Now the bases are full of Royals. Concepcion at third, Wilson at second, Brett at first. There's a line drive, base hit, left field, maybe more. Here comes Concepcion. Here comes Willie Wilson. Brett stops at second. It's 2-0 Kansas City. He hung him a slider.
So the strategy backfires. Last Tuesday, Hal McRae was inserted as the designated hitter against the right-handed pitcher for the first time in 14 months. And has he responded? Batting right around .450 since the All-Star break. And since that time, the Kansas City Royals are 7-2.
Here's Dane Orge with Brett stopping at second, McRae at first, 2-0 Kansas City. Orge flying to center his first time at bat. There's a strike with a fastball in the count, 1-0. Well, George Anderson going with the percentages, but Sparky didn't anticipate the hanging slider.
No, that's right. You got to make that move. You got to put Brett on first base.
That's exactly right. Breaking pitch outside. Takes a little bit off of that breaking pitch. And the count 1-1. You're right there hitting .323 with runners in scoring position, and that's what the Royals have right here. You have Brett at second. And over at first is Hal McRae. Outside, and the count goes to 2-1. Good crowd on hand on this Monday night here at Tiger Stadium. Did not hold up on the breaking pitch, and the count goes even 2-2. The Tigers this year have been averaging 31,701. They've drawn a total home attendance of 1,458,227. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on, and 2 runs in for Kansas City. They lead it 2-0. Inside, full count 3-2, and the runners will be off with a pitch. 1983, the Tigers were 8th in American League attendance, but last year, boy, they soared. 2,700,000. An increase of almost 900,000 in the second highest total in American League history. Runners go, and they pop him up. Trammell calling. And makes the catch, and the side retired, but the Royals picked up 2 runs on a pair of hits. They lead 2, and after 2.5, it's Kansas City 2, Detroit nothing.
The balls are flying out of Memorial Stadium tonight. 2 for the Blue Jays, 2 for the Orioles. The most recent belonging to Floyd Rayford off rookie Jimmy Key of the Blue Jays. And now in the 5th inning, the score is 3-3. The Blue Jays led 3-0 at one time. Back to Don Drysdale.
And right here at Tiger Stadium, it's 2-0 Kansas City. Floyd Rayford has been red hot. And right here, the Tigers with some catching up to do as Johnny Grubb will lead it off. Grubb will be followed by Lemon and then Bergman. Grubb, the designated hitter tonight for Sparky Anderson. Hitting 170 with a home run and 9 RBIs. Outside in the count 1-0.
Hard to believe Saberhagen's only 3 years out of high school. It wasn't until his senior year that he decided to devote his energies to pitching.
2-0.
He was a shortstop before that time. And I would imagine a good one. Quite an athlete.
Out of play and in the booth next to us.
Goodness. You don't even flinch on those, do you?
Now you got
to get used to it.
When you come in here a little bit, well, you get used to those. But I'll tell you one thing, you can bob and weave when they come back up through here. There's a strike, and very quickly the count 2-2. There how close you are. And boy, I'll tell you, it is right. You can see the spin of the ball from our position right here at Tiger Stadium. It's great. I really love it.
Right on top of things.
That is line foul down the left field line. Right now, let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Activate your sports station in the Quad Cities. WQAD-TV, Moline.
Carver, I'm Don Drysdale. It's 2-0 Kansas City. That's foul back and out of play. And we're in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. The Royals scoring 2 runs in the top of the 3rd. Three balls and 2 strikes to the leadoff hitter, Johnny Grubb. Breeze continues to blow to right. And he walks him. So the Tigers have their first base runner of the evening. Johnny Grubb with a base on balls, and that'll bring on Chet Lemon. Chet Lemon hitting .260, 4 home runs, 26 RBIs. Chet has hit safely in 5 of his last 6 ball games. Now Grubb at first, nobody out. Saberhagen, the first time tonight from a stretch. Takes low, the count 1-0.
Saberhagen retired the first 6 in a row. He had a perfect game for 7 innings earlier this year against Seattle. Now that Gorman Thomas broke it up in the 8th with a single.
Right there, 1.48 walks for 9 innings. 3rd best rate in the American League. There's the strike. And the count goes even 1-1.
He went on to lose that ball game, by the way, 2-1. But he will not walk anybody. Does not beat himself.
Saberhagen has won 4 of his last 5 and 9 of 11. There's strike 2 call. 1-2 the count. He has not lost since May 12th. Or I should check that. He's lost only 2 games since May 12th.
And you mentioned his last 4 out of 5. Over 40 innings in his last 5 games. He's walked 2 guys. That was his 3rd walk. That was coming into this game. While striking out 28.
Just got a piece of the breaking pitch. The count remains a ball and 2 strikes. Your runner at first is Johnny Grubb. We talked to Saberhagen, and people have asked him if he's been surprised by his success as he strikes out Chet Lemon. So there's 1 gone, and that'll bring on Dave Bergman. And Saberhagen tells him just flat no. It says he's not cocky. He said he's always played on winning teams and has an attitude of always expecting to win.
And a good fastball right on the outside part, not on the corner. A good tailing fastball. Impressed with that late movement of Saberhagen.
He's got good movement on the fastball. There's Dave Bergman. You see 178, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. That's hit. Balboni, what a play, and now they're going to get Drebin a run down. He goes to the shortstop, Concepcion. Back to Saberhagen, makes the tag, and the side is retired. Well, the Tigers are retired in the third inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and they leave nobody. And we're through 3 from Tiger Stadium, 2-0, Kansas City.
This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Light, the circle of sports beer.
We go to the top of the 4th inning with Kansas City leading 2-0. Look at that last play.
And a good play by Balboni. You remember when Mickey Mantle in a World Series game took 2 steps off and dove back to the bag to thereby thwart the double play? Well, Steve Balboni throws it to shortstop Concepcion, and the tag made by Saberhagen. A 3-6-1 double play.
Right over where he should be as you look at Balboni. On deck circle, Frank White to lead it off. As a line drive right to Evans. Now 1 pitch and 1 out. And that'll bring on Balboni. Well, that play was in the 1960 World Series at Forbes Field, the Yankees and the Pirates.
Yep.
And the first baseman was an old teammate of mine, Rocky Nelson.
Rocky Nelson. This ball hit well. White has hit 2 balls very well. But Darrell Evans is there again. Abner Doubleday put him there, right?
That's right. Here's Balboni. Struck out his first time at bat. Fastball on that inside corner.
Rocky Nelson, during the 1960 season, tried to steal home, and he was thrown out by about 10 feet, and Danny Murtaugh asked him why he tried to steal home. He said, I guess that's why they call me Rocky.
And the breaking pitch took a little bit off in the count 0-2. He was funny.
Funny man. Always hit well in the minor leagues.
Oh, he hit great. Montreal. He was a king in Havana in the Winter League.
Yeah.
Hooking foul. Balboni. Strong right-hand hitter. And you just can't make a mistake on him, because if he can get any kind of wood on the ball, he's dangerous. Right now, he's going to go back and get a bat with a new handle in it.
He strikes out so much. He struck out 103 times so far this year, and he led the American League in strikeouts last year. If you recall, last year he struck out a record in the American League 9 straight times in a 1-3-game stretch.
And you watch Steve just as an observer and from a distance, and just like he carries the same posture. Didn't say anything, saw him part of those strikeouts during that record. Just kept doing the same thing, kept going up there, taking his swings as he normally would. Pretty soon he came out of it. But he's strong. That's hit hard. There it is. That is the strength of Balboni.
And this 0-2 pitch, Petrie does not usually make mistakes like this when he's way ahead. And Dan upset with himself after this pitch. A little too sweet on the 0-2 count. And Balboni extends his hitting streak to 10 games.
Now with 1 out, 1 on, that'll bring on Jim Sundberg, the catcher. Breaking pitch in and over. Sundberg popped to third his first time at bat. Jimmy 0 for 1. Now ball and a strike, 1 out and 1 on, and the Royals on top 2-0 in the top of the 4th inning. 52 and 44. Takes low the count 2-1. And 3 games behind California. Kansas City, good starting pitching. Good young starting pitching. And of course, you've got the Quiz. And Quisenberry down in that bullpen. That's foul right side.
It's amazing about Jim Sundberg. Here he is in his 12th Major League season. He has never been on the disabled list. And he's a catcher. Over 1,500 games. That's got to be a record of some kind.
Well, that's saying something. I'll talk about durability.
Man.
Third base side, Evans from the bag, and they get him. Now moving to second is Balboni. Sundberg retired, 2 outs, and that'll bring on the shortstop, Onyx Concepcion. Concepcion started everything off not the way he would like to, but he'll take it right now. After Sundberg popped up to lead off the third, Concepcion was hit by a pitch, went to third on a base hit to left field by Willie Wilson. Wilson taking second on the throw, then Lonnie Smith popped to shallow right. Brett was walked intentionally, but McRae singled to drive in the 2 runs. And that's where we stand. There's a little looper in the right field. That's going to be a base hit. I don't know if they can score Balboni. Not with Gibson in his arm. And the throw cut off, knocked down by Bergman as they hold Balboni at third. No way that Balboni was going to score on that particular base hit.
Well, Kirk Gibson was playing so shallow in right field that this is like a deep second throw. And everybody's probably thinking, well, Bergman cut it off and it trickled off his glove. Well, had Balboni been sent, well, then Bergman would have let the ball go through. Not with Gibson's arm, even though the throw is a little low, but he's a deep second right there. You can't attempt to score a guy who runs as slowly as Balboni on a play like that.
Not at all. And Balboni was just at the bag when that ball was just about hitting Bergman's glove.
Right.
Here's Willie Wilson, runners at the corners. Balboni at third with Concepcion at first. Down low, the count 1-0. Willie Wilson is 2 for 2. A stolen base, and he scored a run.
Evans way in at third base on a bunt attempt right here. Evans probably is thinking that he'll go home with the ball if he can't get Wilson.
There goes Concepcion. That's loose foul left side. Evans over to take a peek, and that'll fall back about 4 or 5 rows. So Concepcion will go back, and the count of ball and a strike to Willie Wilson. Right there, Dick Hauser playing a little hit and run. On 5 hits, no errors. As you look at Hauser for the Royals, no runs, no hits, no errors for the Tigers. Breeze turning around and checking the flags on top of the roof. Now they've turned to 180 degrees. They're blowing in from right. On that outside corner. And it's 1-2 to Wilson. Beautiful afternoon and early evening here in Detroit. Very warm. Temperature at game time in the mid-80s. Now you turn around, you get a little suspect when you see that breeze changing the way it has. Picking up pretty good. Blowing right straight in from right. Inside, and the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They say about a 10% chance of thunderstorms tonight. Flags up on top of Tiger Stadium. But it's a welcome breeze to the booth, I will say that.
It certainly is, Ollie.
That's hit foul outside at first. Tigers have a man over there that can play that position as well as anybody with a glove, and Dave Bergman. He's an excellent defensive first baseman.
When Jack Morris pitched his no-hitter against the Chicago White Sox, Dave Bergman made 2 super plays. In Chicago, you saw that game.
Yes, I did.
Person.
Boy, did he have good stuff that day. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. 2 outs and 2 on, and the Royals on top 2-0. Cooper, left center field. Moving over is Lemon, and look out in front of Garbet, makes the catch. So the Royals are retired here in the 4th inning. No runs on a pair of hits, no errors, and they leave 2. From Tiger Stadium, we're through 3.5 with the Kansas City Royals leading it as you look at Lemon in front of Garbet for the catch. It's Kansas City 2 and the Tigers nothing. Now there you get a shot of that short porch in right field here at Tiger Stadium, a 10-foot overhang, and the man stepping to the plate right now, you see the flags blowing right straight in, so they have done a 180-degree turn, but Whitaker is only 1 of 20 to ever hit a ball over that roof.
And he weighs 160 pounds. He had another one that hit the roof this year.
Whitaker with 15 home runs and 47 RBIs to go along with that .314 average. Whitaker takes the strike. You've got to be careful on the first pitch to Whitaker because he goes up there swinging. The first time he flied to left. He'll go through streaks where he really won't see maybe 4 or 5 pitches in an entire ball game. But right here he's seen 2 and he's behind 0-2.
Well, it's not really what you want your leadoff man to do, but if he's as successful as Whitaker, change your mind.
Just outside, and the count of 0-2 strikes. That's right. There's exceptions to every rule or every thought.
Don, if you remember Lou Brock, who was inducted to the Hall of Fame yesterday, played here in the '68 series, was a first ball hitter, just like Whitaker.
Well, I can remember Lou Brock when he first came up. You could always figure at least one time a ball game he was going to try and bunt.
Yep.
Former teammate of yours. A 0-2 strikes. The count remains 1-2. The only thing about it that's kind of nice about that is if you're in the ball game and you're going along and maybe have a little lead and comes the 7th or 8th inning and Brock hasn't tried to bunt yet, it gives you a little something to look for. Because you figure that might be his last time at bat. There's a base hit to the hole as Concepcion goes over and he can't make a play. That is the first Tiger hit tonight.
And a familiar, friendly Lou coming out of the crowd. First base hit off Saberhagen and the second base runner. Had Whitaker tried to pull that ball, he plays pepper with the second baseman. That's what is meant by using all parts of the field in which to hit, and that young fellow does it very, very well.
Yes, he does. He does it for the best of them. And here's Alan Trammell. Trammell flying to right his first time at bat. Checks the bunt, takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Starting tonight at 266, now down to 265 with his 8 home runs and 33 RBIs. Kurt Gibson on deck. 2-0 Kansas City, and we're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Trammell wants a little time. Gets it from home plate umpire Tim Welke. Hit hard down the line. Extra bases. Whitaker around second. He'll go to third. Trammell on his way to second base as Smith will get it back into Concepcion. And the Tigers have runners at second and third and nobody out.
Well, here in the 4th inning, you're looking at the tandem that made Detroit click last year. Whitaker and Trammell. And was this a familiar sight, not only during the season, but in the American League Championship Series, when the Tigers beat the Royals 3 in a row, and of course in the World Series. There's the MVP of the World Series, Alan Trammell.
Trammell at second and Whitaker at third. The tying runs in scoring position. Good speed aboard, good speed at the plate, and Kurt Gibson. And the Tiger fans come alive. Gibson struck out his first time at bat at 291, 19 and 65. Takes a strike, 0-1. On deck, Lance Parrish, you see right there, that's the longest drought of the year for Gibson. He has not driven in a run in his last 7 ball games, but the man behind him can make a big difference. the count. That's Whitaker at third. And Trammell at second. Tying runs aboard. Royals on top 2-0. And Saberhagen out on top of Gibson, 0-2. Up and away, 1-0 the count. Kirk Gibson is so strong. That ball just jumps off of his back. He hit one off of Tom Seaver at Comiskey Park right over the right field roof. And very few have been hit to the right side as he strikes him out for the second time.
Third strikeout for Brett Saberhagen, and nothing fancy here. He stayed away with hard stuff. That tailing fastball right on the black.
Here's Lance Parrish, who bounced to short his first time at bat. Now, that young man on the mound, he has got all the coolness of a 30-year veteran. That's fouled out of play. He just does not get riled, Tim. Not at all. Great composure.
Everybody talks about his poise, confidence, composure. If you're wondering where he got it from, he says it's from his little league to high school when he was a hothead.
0-2 the count. So he's out in front of Parrish and sitting in a good spot. There's your infield straight away as you've got Brett at third, Concepcion at short, White at second, Balboni at first, runners at second and third. Curveball line to left, coming on to Smith. What a catch! Now they're going to double him off at second base. They do that and the inning is over. What a play by Lonnie Smith and Alan Trammell. He is fit to be tied. The run does not count, and the Tigers are taken out of the inning. Lonnie Smith with an excellent diving catch. Trammell thought it was a base hit all the way, Timmy.
Yes, he did. Trammell trying to score on this ball, and had Smith not made this remarkable catch, he would have. Trammell had already committed to go home, and now Smith has an easy double play. Short hop to Frank White, double play, Tigers out of the inning.
It's 2-0 Kansas City, and we'll return with more baseball after this message and news headlines from our local station. Well, it never ceases to fail. The guy makes a great play, and he's up in the next inning, and here's Lonnie Smith leading it off for Kansas City, not getting much of an ovation from the Tiger fans, but the Kansas City fans back at home watching are giving a little hand clap. I'll guarantee you that. What a play by Smith.
Why does that always happen? Guy makes a great play, and he leads off the next inning.
That's been in this script for many years. In this game, Smith is 0 for 2, has bounced his short and fly to right, and there's a line drive down the right field line. Could be extra bases. Gibson over in a hurry. And Smith's going to turn. He's going to challenge him. The throw by Gibson, not in time. Boy, Lonnie Smith made that turn at first base, and he just accelerated to second base.
Turned on the burners. And I think he noticed how Gibson fielded this ball. He backhanded the ball, and that gave Lonnie Smith a couple extra steps. I mean, he turned it on. Now watch Gibson backhanded, 2 steps to set. And he takes a pretty good while to get rid of it, and Smith has himself a double.
Now the leadoff double by Lonnie Smith, and that'll bring on George Brett. Perry's looking over to see what Sparky wants to do with Brett. Do you want to put him on again? Nope, they're going to pitch to him. So George thinking one thing right here with a leadoff double by Smith, trying to pull that ball to the right side to advance him. But I will tell you one thing. With the lead that Smith can get, and of course you've got nobody out, and you've got Evans way wide of the bag at third. It's going to be almost a foot race to the bag. Evans and Smith, should he decide to go. There you see. He stole second and third yesterday. a strike to Brett.
I'll tell you, Don, a guy as hot as George Brett has been, I want him to drive in the run. I don't want him to put him to third. Naturally, if he makes an out, you'd prefer him to make it, on the right side. But the way this guy's been swinging the bat, he's your RBI man.
And Petrie knows that. Brett with 63 RBIs on the year. There's that fabled Brett time toss. George has got it right to the nth degree as far as getting it down on that bat. That's low. And it's 3-1.
And he's such a disciplined hitter, too. He realizes that if they want to pitch around him, he's walked 62 times this year. And as we said earlier, 23 times intentionally.
I think that adds more power to Brett when you talk about the discipline and knowing that they will pitch around him. As they walk him again. So the second walk by Petrie, both to Brett, one intentional, one not, and here comes Billy Muffet, the pitching coach. As the hitter will be Hal McRae. Muffet, Parrish, Petrie, and Trammell will all have a little chat, and the bell rings down in the Tiger bullpen. And we're going to get some action down there. Juan Berenguer, big, stocky right-hander. Muffet's had his say. He will go back, and the hitter will be Hal McRae. There's nobody out, and we're in the top of the fifth inning with Kansas City leading it 2-0. Thanks to a great diving catch by Lonnie Smith that turned it into a double play and took Detroit right out of an inning.
Yeah, and that was not bad base running by Pat Trammell. I think any good base runner, or Alan Trammell, I should say. I keep thinking of the quarterback of Auburn, right? But Alan Trammell made really a good play, as most base runners would do. Smith just made a better one.
McRae takes low, and the count 1-0. Well, who's hot? It's the O to B McDowell. And Wiles of Milwaukee, Collison of Texas. There's who's not. You don't want to get on that group. Stay away from that group if you can. That's hit up the middle. Should be two. Trammell to Whitaker. And they double him up with ease as Smith moves to third. Very routine 6-4-3 double play. Trammell to Whitaker to Bergman. And quickly there's two outs to Dane Orr. Dane, of course, and his brother Garth, member of the Toronto Blue Jays. Speaking of Toronto, why, you see that 3-3 tie in the 8th inning at Baltimore, so all of a sudden they have put the squeeze on things. A 2-2 tie. The Yankees in Cleveland, Texas and Milwaukee, they're tied at 2. Bounce foul, first base side.
One thing that comes to your mind when you talk about Petrie is a competitor, and he is certainly that.
Yeah, they've got some good competitors on this Tiger ball club, and this pitching staff, you've got Petrie, you've got Jack Morris, Walt Terrell. Boy, what an acquisition that was for the Tigers.
Yeah, he's 10-5.
Down low, and the count 1-1.
And you might say, well, they're all competitors, but some exude that competitive spirit a lot more than others do, and Danny certainly does that.
Evans way off the bag at third. Lonnie Smith, he can get a walking lead. We just watch him walking down that line. Petrie will take a quick peek at him. As Ord cannot hold up, and the count 1-2. And 2 strikes with 2 out. That's 2 strikes on Ord. And it's 2-2. And a left-handed hitter, so that would just about nullify any thought of trying to steal home right there. The Tigers, with their third baseman this year, they will move them quite a ways off the line, whether it's Brookins or now Evans. There's a line drive hooking foul down the right field line. But I'll tell you, Lonnie Smith, he's kind of salivating over there at third, just knowing how far he can go down that line.
But I think your point is well taken with a left-handed hitter up there. Parrish can see the runner so well, and his tag is no problem because he doesn't have to worry about the right-handed hitter to get out of the way.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And the Royals on top, 2-0. We're in the top of the 5th. Change, hit. There's Evans, man in the right spot to Bergman, and that will do it. So the Royals are turned away. No runs on a hit, no errors. They leave a man aboard halfway through. It's Kansas City 2, and the Tigers nothing. Well, this Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the AFC, the NFC Hall of Fame game, the Giants and the Oilers, and O.J. Simpson and Joe Namath will be inducted into Pro Football's Hall of Fame. Joe will make his debut with Frank Gifford and O.J. as a member of the Monday Night Football team. Canton, Ohio, from Beaver Falls to Canton, Ohio, as Evans fouls the first pitch away. Well, our congratulations to both. And of course, our congratulations to the baseball inductees yesterday in the Baseball's Hall of Fame.
Joe Namath via Beaver Falls, via Alabama, Tuscaloosa, and via Sonny Werblin in the New York Jets.
That's right. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yesterday, Enos Slaughter, Lou Brock, Hoyt Wilhelm, the late Archie Vaughn. Breaking pitch a little high, and the count 2 balls and a strike. We're right there. 15 evening so far from Mr. Saberhagen, thanks to a very nice diving catch by Lonnie Smith in left field. 3 balls and a strike to Evans. Evans bounced to Balboni his first time at bat. With Barbaro Garbet on deck. Takes a strike in the count 3-2. Evans did not care for the call.
Well, let's take another look at it. Was it outside? If it was a ball, it had to be, and I think it was. May have had the front part, but I thought it was outside.
Full count. Pops him up foul left side. He'll be back out of play. Well, they've done just so many great things, Timmy, with Tiger Stadium here. I know the last time you were here commenting as we were coming in today, everything done in that very dark forest green, but now been repainted. He walks him. Well, that is the second walk issued by Saberhagen, and it'll bring on Garbet. He popped it short his first time at bat.
I was here last in the 1968 series, of course. Cardinals were up 3-1, and the Tigers amazingly came back and beat the Cardinals 3 games in a row, and that was the series in which Mayo Smith moved Mickey Stanley from center field to shortstop, and he played flawlessly.
1 ball and no strikes to Garbet. Still, Tigers, of course, charter members of the American League, always played in this ballpark. Quick throw to first, and back in a hurry is Evans. Recent years, they spent $15 million in restoration programs. Boy, I'll tell you, it's just a pleasure to come in here. That's really one thing that I've always thought about. The younger players today, sure, travel is different. You're in the jet set. The money's a lot different. There's a little looper in the right field, and that's going to drop for the base hit. Orge will play it on a hop. So Evans stops at second. The base hit by Garbet, and it'll bring on Johnny Grubb. But just getting back to that, the one thing that you can sit back and think about, and I'm sure that they certainly relish the thought of being able to play in some of the ballparks that they still have, the older ballparks here in the American League. You have the Tiger Stadium, the Fenway Park, Comiskey Park, and over the National League, well, Wrigley Royals about the only one left over there. Everything else is more or less all
uniform.
Yep. But somebody was talking to me the other day. I think we were standing at Comiskey Park, and they said, well, what about the old ballparks? And the things that you remembered you had to pitch different in almost every ballpark you went into. And that was the big key to me. Now, nobody out, and the tying runs aboard, and here's Johnny Grubb. They're in at the corner as the breaking pitch is inside, and the count 1-0. You've got Evans at second base, Garbey at first, Balboni shortened up at the cut of the grass at first, Brett shortened up at third. On deck, Chet Lemon. But that was a big thing. Every ballpark you went into, there was no uniformity. There's a fly ball left field. Lonnie Smith is right there. And there's one away. So the runners return.
And a lot of people probably wondering why Sparky Anderson did not bunt there. And you have the bottom part of the order up. Not that Chet Lemon or Dave Bergman can't drive in a run. But your odds are better. As a matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, we saw Sparky Anderson put the hit and run on with first and second, nobody out. Something you don't see too often.
Now Evans remains at second, Garbey at first, and here's Chet Lemon. Lemon struck out his first time at bat. Fastball low and inside, and the count 1-0. Saberhagen just calm, cool, and collected out there. But Dave Bergman on deck. Right there, Nicholson 16 at bats with men on base since the All-Star break. So Chet trying to get the wheels back on the right track. That's it, foul just outside of third. A ball and a strike. Evans will go back to second, and Garbey back to first. City on top 2-0. We're in the bottom of the fifth inning. Foul right side. So the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. Starting tonight, and it's safely in 5 of 6 ball games. That's foul out of play. The count remains 1-2.
One heater after the other. One fastball after the other to Chet Lemon with a count 1-2, 3 in a row. So maybe Sundberg is telling Brett Saberhagen, let's go to the breaking ball.
And he also got that fastball up over the plate. Did not get it in a real good spot. Be just reminding the youngster, come on now, let's don't get careless out here. You're ahead of him on the count of ball and 2 strikes.
Frank White probably checking with him just to make sure that they didn't change signs.
That's right. And you see, Frank will tell the shortstop, Onyx Concepcion, but they both know what's coming. There's a looper down the right field line. Could be trouble. Balboni out foul territory. Makes the catch. A good play by Balboni. Well, the breeze helped that as it kept it within catching distance for Steve Balboni. Blowing in over that right field roof. And there's 2 out.
Kept it playable. Indeed it did. Balboni would have had a tougher time were it not for that wind. This ball up high enough to where the wind is effective on this ball. And Steve makes a good play. Gets rid of the ball in a hurry. And the runners do not advance 90 feet.
There's 2 outs, and here's Dave Bergman. Evans remains at second. Garbey remains at first. This has been the big thing for the Tigers. One of the things that they have not done this year, as Saberhagen and Sundberg want to have a little chat. They have not been getting those key base hits, sustaining an inning through with base hits, doubles, extra base hits, things of that sort. It's been kind of a home run or nothing for the Tigers.
Well, in the 10th inning of that game last year, the Toronto Blue Jays against the Tigers, Dave Bergman's three-run home run. What an electrifying home run that was.
There's the strike to Bergman, and the count 0-1.
Remember that, Don? He fouled off about 10 pitches and then smoked one up in the
you've got Evans at second. And Garvey at first. Pull to Balboni, and Saberhagen is going to get out of it again. So the young man, he just bows his neck and stays right there. The Tigers are gone. Kansas City on top 2-0 through 5, and we'll return with more baseball after this word from our local station. Well, we're back at Tiger Stadium with Kansas City on top 2-0, but let's go back to 1968, the World Series, the Cardinals and the Tigers. My partner, Tim McCarver.
Pat Dobson on the mound and a curveball and ash to agate.
Yeah, it was. And right there, 7 months into this world, the young lady, Kelly McCarver,
Yes,
Timmy's
sir.
daughter.
First time in Detroit Stadium, first time in the state of Michigan for Kelly.
That's great. Frank White takes his strike. 0-1 the count. White has bounced to third. He's lined to third. 0 for 2 tonight. And very quickly, the count is 0-2. Frank White very happy right now with actually getting on the road a little bit, in the one sense that he can get back on some regular dirt, get on some grass. That's down low. Of course, Royal Stadium in Kansas City and the Harry S. Truman Complex, one of the most beautiful sports complexes in all of the world, I would say. Royal Stadium on the other side, Arrowhead Stadium, the home of the Kansas City Chiefs. Got him looking. So White is retired. That is strikeout number 3 for Petrie, and that'll bring on Balboni. But just finishing up with Frank White. Like so many players, have talked about playing on the carpet and the toll that it can take on you. They have new carpet this year. Frank has mentioned that he's just happy that he has strong knees, because it has not taken the complete toll on his knees right there that it has on some other players. As Balboni goes through the first pitch, 0-1. He has struck out and singled. 1 for 2 tonight. Infield deep on the left side. The outfield straight away and deep. You see the Tiger defensive alignment. Change, he just missed it. High to left. Garvey, look at that breeze take it. Just about into foul territory. That ball was 30 feet fair at one time. So there's 2 gone to Jimmy Sundberg.
Well, you mentioned it several times tonight, the wind blowing in gusty fashion from right field toward the left field line. And Garvey looked like a routine chance. And now he had to move in. The ball just fair, about a foot fair.
There were 2 outs. That'll bring on Jim Sundberg. Jim tonight is popped to third. He's bounced to third. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Well, the Royals have made up some ground. No question about that. Starting tonight, 3 games behind California. That check swing foul. The count 1-1. After their 7th consecutive win tonight, they just came off of a 6-0 homestand where they swept the Yankees and the Indians. Their 6-game win streak, that matches the club's longest win streak of the year. They've done that twice. There's a little looper. Going out is Whitaker. The wind will help him, and he makes the catch. So the side is retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning with the Royals leading the Tigers 2-0.
IBM presents You Make the Call. Inside the Kingdome in Seattle, a batter hits what appears to be a home run, but the ball hits a speaker and is caught by an outfielder. Is the batter out? You make the call. Because the speakers are in fair territory, a deflected ball is in play, and the catch. So if you said the batter was out, then you...
champion Lee Trevino and crew. It'll be live 3:30 Eastern Time. Now, Lou Whitaker will lead it off as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. It'll be Whitaker, Trammell, and Gibson, the top 3 in the Tiger order. Whitaker is fly to left and singled in the 4th inning. Right over the cut of the grass, and we'll move onto the grass at 3rd. First pitch is strike to Whitaker, and the count is 0-1. There's George. He'll stay right there as the pitch is made. He'll move up onto the grass. That's line to left, sinking, and Smith will have to play it on a long hop. So Lou Whitaker is 2 for 3 tonight. That is hit number 4 for Detroit. Bring on Alan Trammell, who doubled his last time at bat.
And again, a good piece of hitting by Lou Whitaker. Curveball away, didn't try to pull it. A rope to left. Man, he is a magician with that bat.
Oh, he's just a good, solid ball player. And so is this man standing at home plate, Alan Trammell. 1 for 2, flying to right and doubled. On deck, Kurt Gibson. This is the 4th straight inning that the Tigers have put the leadoff man aboard.
Yeah, they have tested that poise and confidence and composure of Saberhagen, haven't they?
So far, he has risen to the occasion just outside. One time, a great catch by Lonnie Smith in left field to double up Trammell at second. And that ended the 4th inning.
The same catcher for 6 years in Little League and high school, and he said his catcher was a hothead. So he always wanted to take the opposite approach. Stay calm, try not to show any emotion. There he is.
2 balls and a strike.
But as Jimmy Fry says about Dwight Gooden, if you have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and can hit spots with it, you'd be poised and calm and confident too. So much for that poised and calm and confident approach.
Goes, and the looper foul territory. Balboni moving over. We'll have a play. Whitaker back to first. So Trammell is gone. And some scores. The Yankees now have moved over Cleveland 5-2 in the 8th inning. Still a 3-3 tie in the 9th. Toronto and Baltimore. 3-0. The Mets over Montreal in the 7th inning. Here's Kurt Gibson. You're not out of the woods yet with this man standing at home plate. Although Saberhagen has struck him out twice tonight. Whitaker at first. And the breaking pitch for the strike. 0-1 the count.
Oh, that's where an experienced catcher helps you, too. They've been away on Gibson all night. And now with a runner on first, the time that you'd least suspect it, they come in with the breaking ball.
A little looper. Concepcion will have it. They might have a play at first. A strong arm to get him. So again, the Tiger base running has taken him out of an inning. There's a good play by Concepcion. Whitaker could not find himself out there.
And a bad play by Lou Whitaker, because if this ball drops, he's only going to go to third anyway. This is a base hit. He only gets to third. Bad play by Lou. Good play by Concepcion.
That will do it for the Tigers, and we're through 6, 2-0 Kansas City.
This ABC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Now back here at Tiger Stadium, it's 2-0 Kansas City as we go to the top of the 7th inning. 2 runs on 6 hits, no errors for the Royals. Concepcion shoots it to the right side. There's Whitaker and the Bergman, and there's one away. Dick Hauser, the skipper, they call him Slick. The Kansas City Royals, I tell you, he's quite a guy. Gets along great with his players. He's definitely Mr. Positive. And in that respects, so much like a man that he coached third for when Ralph Houck managed the Yankees. That's just the way Hauser is. Great sense of humor. Here's Willie Wilson with one out. Fouls the first pitch away. 36,068 in attendance tonight. So a good crowd here at Tiger Stadium.
Dick Hauser picked to finish in the second division last year, and here they win the American League West. And that got him the runner-up position, the Sparky Anderson Manager of the Year voting. He is a good, sound manager. And as you said, 2 of them here tonight.
Yes, sir. 0-1 to Willie Wilson. Wilson is 2 for 3 tonight. And the count goes to 0-2. Kansas City scored in the third inning. After Sundberg popped to third, Concepcion was hit by a pitch. Wilson singled down the left field line. Concepcion went to third, and Wilson to second on the throw. Lonnie Smith flied out. Brett was walked intentionally, but Hal McRae had a 2-out single, driving in the only runs of the ball game, and that's where we stand as Wilson's down on strikes on the breaking pitch. Strikeout number 4 for Petrie, and that'll bring on Lonnie Smith, who has doubled his last time at bat. Fly to right and bounce to short.
Well, they talk about that slider with Dan Petrie, and he throws it about as hard as his fastball. And in some respects, Lance Parrish was telling me before the game that he can get the slider over as well as he can the fastball. And there are a lot of pitchers like that, Dick.
What an advantage that is. If you can do just that. Smith checking to bunt, takes low.
Sometimes there's so much movement on the fastball, it actually moves out of the strike zone. And the slider, in that respect, is a much more controllable pitch.
That's taken low, and the count goes to 2-0. Now the owners of these, hey, look at some scores right here. Texas, 2-1 on top of Milwaukee on Pete O'Brien's home run in the 7th inning. 3-0. Petrie a little unhappy with himself because behind Smith you have Brett. But the Royals know that they are a good second-half ball club. Every man to a T knows that. Interesting, on the ownership of Kansas City, of course, Mr. Ewing Kauffman, one of the co-owners, and now Mr. Avron Fogelman, former, what was he, a teammate, or you played against him in Little League Baseball down there, Tim McCarver?
In Memphis, Tennessee, played against Avron Fogelman in the Little Leagues, and we've been friends since we were both 8 years old. He went one way and I went the other. He's an owner and I'm a broadcaster.
There's a strike and the count 3-2. He's quite a guy. He really is. I've had the pleasure of meeting him. They got 2 very fine owners down there. Great personalities in both of them. 3-2 pitch. Bounce foul. Well, he's taking care of a couple of the players down there. Lifetime contracts in Brett, Quisenberry,
Willie Wilson.
Willie Wilson. George Brett will tell you that's why he went on that big training program this winter. That's bounced to Evans at third. Long throw across to Burton, and they get it. And the Royals are gone 1-2-3 in the 7th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Royals lead it by a score of 2-0.
At Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, the balls continue to fly. 5 home runs in the game. This the third off Mike Boddicker. It belongs to Damaso Garcia in the top of the 10th inning. Baltimore now batting in the bottom, trailing by 1.
Well, Saberhagen starting the 7th inning, and Dick Hauser has a lot of fine things to say about this young man.
He's so good it's scary. I hope I don't jinx him tonight, but he's beaten every club. He's only 21 years. He's beaten every club in the American League now in a year and a half, and he's just been an exceptional pitcher. He's got the good fastball, and he's got now this year, the difference this year, though, he's got a good change, and his breaking ball is much sharper than it was last year. He's got 3 pitches. He's got great control, and he can change speeds, and if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be a great one.
Lance Parrish fouls the pitch back, and the count is 0-2. Kansas City now going with a little defense as they make a change in left field. Lynn Jones is out in left field, a former Tiger himself, so he's familiar with that outer pasture here at Tiger Stadium. That's Lynn Jones. Parrish, the count 0-2. Now Jones in left, taking over for Lonnie Smith. Dick Hauser will go with the leather. A ball and 2 strikes.
Hard to believe Saberhagen was a 19th round selection. But when he was a senior in high school, he hurt his shoulder playing basketball, and the scouts backed off.
Now Parrish down on strikes. And for Saberhagen, that's his 4th strikeout of the night.
But the scouts changed their minds after he pitched a high school no-hitter in his senior year at Dodger Stadium in the high school championship series out there. That'll make you change your mind.
Oh, I would think so, and I'd have to think that that scout, or one of those scouts, is an old friend of mine from years and years back, Rosie Gilhausen. As Darrell Evans stands in, he takes outside 1-0. Well, they got a bonus of 27-5. Brett Saberhagen. That's inside, and the count 2-0. On deck, Barbaro Garbe.
He's already paid back that investment, right?
Oh, I would say yes, very nicely, thank you. It's the kind of return that Mr. Kaufman and Mr. Fogelman like. The count, 2 balls and a strike. Well, the Royals have done some things. They've patched some holes. John Schuerholz and company over there at Kansas City, the same as Jim Campbell and company have done here at Tiger Stadium, and it's certainly, you've got to take your hat off to both of them. Seen where they've had a hole here or there, they've gone out and they've tried to patch it. That's out of play, back to our left. Jerry Klein sitting in between is getting a little shell shock. I told you, don't drop your head. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Catlin. Kansas City, 2 runs on 6 hits, no errors, and the Tigers, no runs, 4 hits, no errors. Just missing, trying to backdooring with a breaking pitch, and the count both 3-2.
Evans with 3 home runs in his last 3 games, and 4 in his last 6 games.
Hit hard. Val Boney playing a fine job tonight at first base, doing a great job. Made some good plays.
Yes, he has. The double play ball, the pop-up in foul territory last inning, and playing Evans to pull. That was down around the line. Evans is dead pull hitter. And Steve shuffles it off to Saberhagen. Easy play.
Now there's 2 going to Barbaro Garbe with Johnny Grubb on deck. 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Kansas City as Garbe takes his strike. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Watching Saberhagen tonight and Sundberg work, they have moved pitches around, changed their pitches. Just great. Now you see outside. Whoop, he dropped down and hung it. 1-1 the count. You see right there the top 2 pitching staffs for starters. Kansas City with 44 and Detroit with 43. Luke foul right side. A ball and 2 strikes to count.
You have to do something different as you face the lineup the 2nd and 3rd time through the ball game. And Saberhagen has not only given different pitches the 2nd and 3rd time around, but he's been dropping down on some of the right-handed hitters. That's something he didn't do the first 5 innings.
Well, these 2 clubs kind of getting adjusted to one another once again. They haven't met since the 21st of April. But they'll play Detroit in 7 of the next 10 games. Tigers come into Kansas City for a 4-game set next week. That's providing that there is a next week. You might have tuned in late and missed the conversation with the Commissioner of Baseball, Peter Uberoff, and the Players' representative, Donald Fear. interview with Howard Cosell as a line drive. We'll talk about that when we come back. And right here in the top of the 8th inning, Kansas City gone. We go to the bottom of the 8th with the Royals leading it by a score of 2-0. George Brett to lead off the top of the 8th inning. George 0 for 1 tonight. High chopper to Lou Whitaker. And there's one away.
And Don, to end that 7th inning, to give you some idea how fast the ball can get to an infielder playing in. I mean, that ball a bullet. There it was, and there it was. George Brett, by the way, playing some of the finest defensive ball he's ever played. And he has said that a Gold Glove would be as rewarding to him as an MVP award. He was an MVP winner in 1980, but he's never won the Gold Glove.
Al McRae will stand in. George at time has taken some flack on his fielding a little bit. And he is, like you say, he's playing an excellent third base for Kansas City this year.
Well, I think he's such a good offensive player that people have a tendency to inflate his mistakes on defense, you know?
They want him to show that same shine with the glove. That's right through. Speaking of gloves, the legs of Darrell Evans. McRae takes a turn. He'll hold right there. So Darrell will draw the air.
Well, the first error of the ball game, and this is just a big league error right here. And he didn't stay down on the ball, try to stay under the hop. The ball stayed down, and it went right through the legs of Darrell Evans.
Now McRae's aboard, and that'll bring on Dane Orge. Orge is 0 for 3 tonight. He's flying to center, popped to short, and bounced to third. Infield double play depth. Taken a little bit low. The count 1-0. Of course, a couple of double plays have hurt the Tigers. Kansas City 6 and Detroit 3. No strikes to Orr. Evans way off the bag and off the line at third. That's hit to the hole. Whitaker over. Goes to Trammell for one, and they double him up. What a play. There is a major league double play, folks.
Not only does Whitaker make a super play with the glove, but watch the throw he gives to Alan Trammell. Orr hits this ball very hard. Now remember, Whitaker's cheating for the double play. Now watch the throw to Trammell. Right there. And Trammell turns it, just had it.
Now the Royals are gone. They lead it 2-0. They'll return after news headlines from our local station. 2-0 Kansas City. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, Johnny Grubb to lead it off. New right fielder, there's Pat Sheridan. So your outfield of Lynn Jones in left, Willie Wilson in center, and Pat Sheridan in right.
Dick Hauser's gone from the lumber to the leather.
That's it. 2-0 to check that. 1 ball and 1 strike to Johnny Grubb. 2-0 Kansas City. 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 error for the Royals. No runs on 4 hits. No errors for the Tigers. Line center field, base hit. So Johnny Grubb's aboard.
Sundberg wanted this ball away, and he got it away. But Saberhagen got it up a little bit, and Johnny Grubb does the rest. Might see a little action from Quisenberry pretty soon, Don.
Well, you're getting down into Quisenberry territory. There's no question about that. But Saberhagen has managed to wiggle out of a couple of jams tonight. He just bowed his neck. And the leadoff man has been on in 5 of the last 6 innings for Detroit, but they have not been able to do anything with Mr. Saberhagen. That's fouled away, and the count goes to a ball and a strike. Chet Lemon tonight has struck out, and he's fouled out to the first baseman. George Brett guarding the line at third. About a step and a half off the bag with Balboni holding Grubb at first. and a strike.
Doubtful that Grubb will be running right here. With the Tigers 2 runs down.
That's out of play right side. The thing that makes Tiger Stadium a good hitter's ballpark is 340 down the left field line, 365 to the power alley, 325 down the right field line, 370 to the power alley in right center. But you've got that overhang in right, so you see high fly balls hit here sometimes and down that right field. There's the overhang. And that overhang sticks out 10 feet. So in essence, there's a ball shot to the right side. Grubb to second base, and he'll hold right there as Sheridan gets on the ball in a hurry. So the Tigers have runners at first and second, nobody out. And here's Dave Bergman, and you might see the sacrifice now with Whitaker on deck, followed by Trammell. Bergman checking closely with his third base coach, Alex Gramis, as Sundberg and Saberhagen want to have a little chat. Now, Dick Hauser has already put on the sign to George Brett. He's the captain of that infield in a bunt situation. We'll see exactly how Kansas City wants to do it, as we'll get some action down in the bullpen. And you would assume it'll be the Under Armour. There he is, Van Quisenberry.
Yeah, you can't expect Saberhagen to continue to dance around and through raindrops, right?
No, not at all. Now we're going to get a pinch runner for Johnny Grubb at second base. Sanchez, he started to run to first, and Levin said, get out of here. Go to second. You're not going to run for me.
He was going to first, and Chet just waved him to second. We'll see if the Royals put that rotation play on where George Brett comes in and Concepcion will cover third, Frank White covering first, and Balboni charging.
Balboni's got to get in closer than what he is right now if he's going to do anything. So Sanchez at second, and the pitch is high. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Lemon at first.
They were playing it straight up there, Don. Bergman will try to get the third baseman Brett to field the ball.
See right there, Dave, 1 hit in his last 27 at-bats with runners on base. But attempt foul away, and the count 1-1. That's what George Anderson has left. He's got Castillo, Melvin, Brookins, Flynn, and Herman.
No lefties.
No lefties. A ball and a strike. Again, the attempted sack, and he takes it, strike 2. Well, that's kind of right there the year that the Tigers have been having. Foul the first one off and take the second one.
Well, last year, if they failed on a bunt attempt, they'd turn it into a base hit. We'll see what happens here. Good sinking fastball from Saberhagen.
The 1-2 pitch just outside, and a count 2-2. There's Alex Gramis, the third base coach. He's already flashed whatever sign he wants. Just outside, and the count goes full at 3-2.
Send the runners here?
I don't believe he's going to send the runners, no.
I'll tell you, I'd send the runners right here. You don't have really a strikeout pitcher out there and a guy who makes contact.
James might be saying the way things have been going this year, he's out with a line drive into a triple play. They hold, and he pops it foul. Well, what we've seen tonight, a couple of base running little
that's
gems.
right.
I think I'll just hold them there.
Well, that is the tendency you have when you're 8.5 games out of first place the latter part of July. But do you come out of your slump, and certainly the Tigers have been slumping, do you come out of it aggressively or passively?
No, I think you got to come out of it aggressively.
I think so.
You got to make your break. 3-2 pitch, pops it foul. The Breeze will get that and blow it out. Saberhagen coming right at him with fastballs, fouls the last 2 pitches off. The count remains full 3-2. Runners at first and second. Nobody out in Kansas City on top 2-0. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. On deck, Lou Whitaker. Strikes him out. So Saberhagen. A big strikeout in a big spot, and here comes Lou Whitaker.
Right down Broadway, a little extra on it. Started out down Broadway, ended up around first.
Now here's Whitaker, and now Saberhagen. He's got to be alive on the first pitch to Whitaker. I mentioned before, Lou tonight is 2 for 3, but Whitaker, he can look first ball, fastball, and he can do some damage.
He has hit a fastball away for a hit and a curveball away for a hit.
He's going after the fastball and turning on it. Doesn't get it. 0-1 the count.
He belly buttoned that one, didn't he? Old Paul Wainer expression. Belly button. Of course, the pet ball's outside. You're going to play Pepper with the second baseman.
That's line foul down the left field line, and Saberhagen jumps out in front 0-2. Again, the poise of the young right-hander. Now the Tigers, they have won 8 games in which they trailed after 7 innings. That's the most in the major leagues, and of course right here, we're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Both sides with 6 hits. Missing outside, and the count 1-2. You've got Sanchez at second. The tying run at first, and Chet Lemon is a man that can run the bases for you. Rita Pinson, the first base coach. That's hit to left field and playable. Right there is Lynn Jones. Sanchez tags. He won't go anywhere. Jones a strike into Brett, and there's 2 outs.
Saberhagen staying away from Lou Whitaker. Away, away, away. It probably was a ball outside, but with the count 1-2, you're protecting away. That ball very close. Well, what an impressive pitcher this young man is.
Now, Dick Hauser out. He had something to say to Brett to start with. It might be with Sanchez at second, just be alive. These guys might do anything. Marky Anderson doesn't necessarily play by the book. He's going to stay with Saberhagen. Quisenberry throwing behind him in the bullpen. So Slick has had his say, and he'll go back to the dugout. Well, Anderson thinking along with Hauser on what he might have been telling him. Sparky Anderson will not play by the book, nor will Dick Hauser. As Trammell takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. You've got to be alive on Alan Trammell. About the time you go to sleep on Alan, he can reach the seats. Oh, you talk about going to sleep. Mr. Saberhagen has not done that tonight. It's 0-2. I'll say one thing. He came right out in front of Whitaker. He came right out in front of Trammell after he struck out Bergman. So the Tigers with runners at first and second. They cannot execute on the sacrifice bunt. And Saberhagen is 1 strike from getting out of it. Now Brett is not playing on the line at third. That's foul right side. Interesting position right here. Of course, that doesn't necessarily, we've talked about that before. That playing on the line sometimes is like an old wives' tale.
Certainly is. There's a time to challenge and there's a time to tease, and this young man seems to know when to do both.
Outside, the count 1-2. Tried to overthrow that fastball just a little bit. It appears that they're going to stay away from Trammell. What you're protecting against is a long ball here. If you're going to get a home run, then you're going to go the other way on me. You're not going to pull it. Dalboni guarding the line per se at first. Got him looking on a sidearm curveball, and Trammell does not like the call. done it again.
Well, Allen complaining about this ball. It was not low. And Saberhagen dropping down with the breaking ball on the 1-2 count. You be the umpire. No, that's a strike. That's a
What
strike.
a pitch. 2-0, and we'll return after this word from our local stations.
The Blue Jays and Orioles generated some drama tonight in Maryland. Bottom of the 10th inning with a man on and 2 out. Cal Ripken, the batter. Tom Henke, just up from the minors, delivers this pitch. And it's deep to center, but watch the way Jesse Barfield plays the ball. Just like batting practice. The Blue Jays have won 9 straight, 4-3. Let's go back to Don and Tim.
And that's the story right here at Tiger Stadium. Along with Tim McCarver, I'm Don Drysdale. We've had a good one. We've seen quite an exhibition of pitching by young Brett Saberhagen as Frank White goes through the first pitch. Dan Petrie has pitched a fine ball game himself.
Yes, he has. One hanging slider to Hal McCrae.
We would have no score. White takes high, the count 1-1. Kansas City got both of their runs in the second inning. Make that the third inning. After Sundberg popped to third, Concepcion hit by a pitch. Wilson singled down the left field line, went to second on the throw as Concepcion took third. There's a shot knocked down by Evans, and he can't make the play. That ball hit hard.
Second error of the game by Darrell Evans, and he does get down on this ball, and when he boots it, the ball does not stay in front of him. It caroms about 8 feet away, and Darrell cannot retrieve it in time.
Now Evans aboard, and here's Balboni. But with Wilson at second and Concepcion at third, Lonnie Smith flying to right. Brett was walked intentionally. Then that hanging breaking pitch to Hal McRae, and that's been the difference in the ball game. Balboni fouls it back right side. The count 0-1. Your runner at first is Frank White. Good base runner. He's just a good ball player.
Nothing he doesn't do well.
No, not at all. The man out of the Baseball Academy started at one time by Ewing Kaufman down in Sarasota, Florida. That's fouled away, and the count is 0-2. So White will come back. No balls and 2 strikes to Balboni, with Jim Sundberg on deck. 2-0 Kansas City, top of the 9th. If you're looking to the Tiger 9th, they have Gibson, Parrish, and Evans. That's the story. Outfield, deep straightaway. Down low, the count 1-2. So Petrie out in front of Balboni, a ball and 2 strikes. Evans back well off the line at third. Where the Tigers will position, we mentioned before, their third baseman, whether it's Evans or Tommy Brookins, they will move back and well off the lines many, many times. They'll give you that ball down the line, try and take something away from the hole. 2-2 the count.
Well, the defense should be modeled toward the fat part of the field, because the fat part of the bat usually puts balls in the fat part of the field. Balls down the lines are doubles.
That's right. And on the carpet, maybe triples.
Yeah. Depends on the carom it takes in left or right.
And in some situations with certain runners inside the park, home runs. Up and in, and the count goes full 3-2. So he had Balboni 0-2. Petrie's taking him right to the wall, 3-2.
Well, now you have another running situation, but a hitter hitting who struck out 103 times this year.
Then we'll see how Dick Hauser wants to play it right here. In front of 36,068 Tiger fans. White goes. That's fouled back and out of play. He had a good jump.
And it's not imperative that you get a good jump on a 3-2 count, because it's up to the hitter to put the ball in play. It's just like a hit-and-run situation. You're not looking for the runner at first to get a good jump, but Frank White had an outstanding jump then. And it points up what you were saying about his all-around baseball ability.
And you've got that high leg kick by the pitcher. And, of course, that is very enticing to a base runner with speed. There you just get a look at the jump of White as Petrie will chase him back. Goes again, and there's a drive deep left center field, going back. Garbe to the wall. It's gone. Home run, Steve Balboni, and the Kansas City Royals take a 4-0 lead. Another high breaking pitch.
Ball game kind of like the tale of two pitches. The hanging slider to Hal McRae earlier in the game, and this, even though a 3-2 pitch, breaking ball right in his wheelhouse. And Steve Balboni tremendously strong. I didn't know whether this ball was going to have enough loft to get out of here, but it did.
It got out in a hurry. That took care of the loft, brother. So that's the story, 4-0. Jim Sundberg stands in. Once again, Juan Berenguer throwing in the Tiger bullpen. Sundberg takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
That, by the way, Don, the 19th home run for Balboni this year. He had 28 last year.
Up high, 1-1. Now for Balboni, the 2 RBIs. That gives him 52. That's looped into right. Over there is Gibson, and there's one away. Now that'll bring on the shortstop, Onyx Concepcion. Well, we talked about Balboni earlier. He has a 10-game hitting streak. He's hit 5 home runs, and he's had 11 RBIs in that streak. Here's Concepcion, 1 for 2 tonight. Hit by a pitch and scored. Takes a strike, 0-1 the count. As you see, Juan Berenguer in the Tiger bullpen. Slow curve fouled away, and the count is 0-2. There's a little interesting story right there. A home run in each of his last 8 starts for Petrie. Just outside, and the count 1-2.
Danny, 18-8 last year, and an 89-60 career record. Some kind of percentage.
That's fouled away. The count remains at 1-2 strikes. 4 runs on 7 hits for Kansas City. No runs, 6 hits, and 2 errors for the Tigers. This inning by Darrell Evans to set up the home run for Balboni. Got him looking. Concepcion will just walk away. So there's 2 outs. And the Royals will go to the top of the order in Willie Wilson. Well, Timmy Wallach got the Expos close with a 2-run homer in the top of the 9th, and Jesse Orozco came on to close the door. 3-2 Mets over the Expos. Willie Wilson takes a strike, and the count is 0-1 with Lynn Jones on deck. Wilson, you see, 2 for 4 tonight. For an update on his average at 296. Off-speed breaking pitch up high, and the count 1-1. Back to Wilson on that inside corner, and the count moves to 1-2.
I guess the Mets pick up a half game on the Cardinals tonight. That means the Mets are 3 games back, and the Montreal Expos fall to 5 games back.
And the Tigers sitting looking at the scoreboard, watching Toronto win again. again in Baltimore on the home run by Damaso Garcia. Now Baltimore drops to 11.5 back. The Tigers, they're on the verge of dropping 9.5 backs. That'll put them in a tie with the Red Sox. The Yankees won tonight, so they remain 7 back. Foul away, and the count remains 2-2. California is idle tonight. They'll open up a series in Oakland, and with a Royal win tonight, they'll be 2.5 back of California. That'll be the closest race. The 2-2 pitch. Hit down the left field line, slicing, foul, and just foul. It's a good thing it was foul, because Willie Wilson might have come all the way around. He was almost to second base.
He has 21 career homers, and 13 have been inside the park. Of course, if that ball is fair, Garbe makes the catch. And as you said, had he not made the catch, it would have been history.
Boy, he was flying.
You'd have needed some bullpen help.
That's right. Well, Willie Wilson, you look right there, inside the park home runs. And I told you that earlier in the broadcast. All 4 this year, he's hit over the wall. So, a man that Bo Schembechler really tried to recruit to play football at Michigan. That's hit to the right side. Bergman right there, and all of a sudden he says, I got to hurry, folks. And he gets over there just ahead of Wilson, but the damage has been done. The Royals 2 runs on a hit. They leave nobody to the bottom of the 9th inning. Kansas City leads it 4-0. The story as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Kansas City on top 4-0. Tonight on Nightline, the Soviet promised to stop nuclear testing through the end of the year. Ted Koppel examines if it's an important breakthrough or just propaganda with his guest White House National Security Advisor Robert McFarland. That's tonight on Nightline as Gibson fouls the first pitch away. Now the Tigers, and you can see how big that home run was by Balboni, because here in the 9th inning they have their 3, 4, and 5 hitters. But when you look at those 3, 4, and 5 hitters, they have not fared that well tonight. In 9 appearances, the plate only 1 ball off of Saberhagen has been hit out of the infield. Taken high, the count, 2 balls and a strike. Now the governor of Michigan, Governor James Blanchard, in attendance tonight. But he has not had that much to cheer about. And very quickly the count 2-2 to Gibson.
Well, the Tigers just cannot seem to score for Dan Petrie. Outside the home run ball and the hanging slider, he has pitched a good ball game, but Saberhagen has just bested him.
Gibson strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. Number 6 for Saberhagen. And that'll bring on Lance Parrish, who's 0 for 3.
We touched on it at the top of the show, or the top of the ball game. And the Tigers failed to score for Dan Petrie in 4 straight starts in the middle of June. 25 innings he worked. And they're being shut out again here tonight.
0-1 to Parrish. He's been the only one of the 3 to hit the ball to the outfield tonight of those 3, 4, and 5 hitters. There's the second one hit well right field, going back, and that ball is gone. That shows you what can happen in this ballpark. It'll also show you the strength of Lance Parrish.
The Hulk is back. He was 0 for 11 since returning. He was inactive with that bad back from July 10th until this past Saturday up in Minnesota. And his first hit back, sinker low and away. And boy, is he strong. Man, right field home run for Lance Parrish. And that went up in the upper deck. Yep. No overhang got that.
That got out there in a hurry. Sheridan went back, and then after that, he just looked up to see where it was going to go. So Dick Hauser to the mound. He will talk with Saberhagen, Sundberg, and Brett, and they're going to go to the bullpen. They've got Dan Quisenberry down there. Boy, that young man, Brett Saberhagen, what a job he did tonight. After his 12th win of the year, and he'll be congratulated by his teammates. Barry Blaylock, the first one to shake his hand, the pitching coach. There's another fine young left-hander in Danny Jackson. Darrell Motley. So we have a break in the play right here from Tiger Stadium. A pitching change. Quisenberry comes on. There's one out in the bottom of the ninth. 4-1. Kansas City. This Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the AFC, NFC All-Star, well, the Hall of Fame game, and 2 All-Stars going in, inducted into the Hall of Fame as the Giants will meet the Oilers, and that, of course, being O.J. Simpson and Joe Namath. They'll be inducted into Pro Football's Hall of Fame, and All-Stars they are. And, of course, Joe makes his debut with Frank Gifford and O.J. Simpson right here on ABC's Monday Night Football. Looking forward to that. Big guy, I think he's going to do a good job.
Dan Quisenberry, the reliever, of course, 23 saves. That leads the American League. His 52 appearances lead the American League. He's walked only 11. That is one of the incredible things about Quisenberry. 79 in the 3rd innings, 11 walks. And what a job Brett Saberhagen did tonight.
Well, the hitter will be Darrell Evans as Quisenberry gets ready to go. There's that underarm breaking pitch. 1 ball and no strikes the count. I think Quisenberry wanted that. Looping liner, 1 hop. Hit to Concepcion. Good arm. Throws him out. 2 gone. Well, the Tigers are down to their final out in Barbaro Garbet.
And this was a rocket on the first pitch, but right at him. And that's the way the Tiger night has gone. Good, strong throw from Concepcion. Takes his time. Does not have a fast runner running. Got him by 3 strides.
Now 2 outs to Garbet, who's 1 for 3 tonight. What a career Quisenberry's had. He orders a strike with a breaking pitch. Oh, there's another man. There's 2 guys out there with ice in their veins tonight. Saberhagen and Quisenberry. That's hard into right center field. Base hit. So Garbet's aboard. Willie Wilson gets it back in. And Alex Sanchez will come on.
The Tigers want is to get that tying run up to the plate. And if they do, it will be Chet Lemon. Alex Sanchez ran in the 8th inning, if you'll remember, for Johnny Grubb.
Sanchez has got all kinds of power.
Player of the Year in the Pacific Coast League last year when he was a member of the San Francisco Giants organization. He started his professional career with the Philadelphia Phillies. Another guy from San Pedro de Macorís.
Oh boy, they've got them all over in that place. Man, the Dominican Republic. Had to laugh at Rico Cardi's statement today in the paper about San Pedro de Macorís. He says, we play baseball all the time down here. We don't even have jobs.
It's only a game.
Yeah. 1 ball and 1 strike. Boy, some of the players that they have put in the major league, he might go right along with that statement by Rico Cardi. He's quite a player himself.
That's right.
On that outside corner, and the count 1-2, and the Tigers are down to their final strike and their final out. Quisenberry will throw the sinker, the breaking pitch, and he's cooled the last few years. He'll throw a knuckleball at you from down there, too. Missing outside, and the count goes even 2-2. So lots of 2s on the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 2-2. Saberhagen down in that dugout, looking for his 12th win of the year against 5 losses. That breeze is picked up here at Tiger Stadium. We've mentioned that throughout the course of the ballgame. Very comfortable evening. It's taking the heat out of here, and it's nice. Very pleasant out. Jams in for the sinker. Greg White bobbles the ball, and the Tigers will have the tying run at the plate. It's not over yet.
Don't go away. Frank White has won the Gold Glove 6 times. And he really actually ran past that ball. He overran it. Ball had the extra spin on it as Sanchez was jammed with the pitch. And now the tying run in the person of Chet Lemon.
Garvey at second. There's Sanchez at first, and Chet Lemon, the hitter. Brett guarding the line at third. Balboni guarding the line at first. Out of play, right side. Your outfield. Wilson slightly in left center. They're all deep. Lemon tonight is 1 for 3. Singled his last time at bat. Prior, he has fouled out the first, and he struck out. There's your defensive alignment. 0-1 to Lemon with Dave Bergman on deck. Hit to the right side and base hit. Here comes Garvey. Moving at third is Sanchez as Sheridan gets the ball back in. It's a 4-2 ball game, and the tying runs are aboard.
Well, John, we talked about guarding the line earlier in the ball game. 7th and 8th inning, Brett was on the line. Had Balboni been playing regularly, he catches this ball. And there is the controversy about not guarding the line. Balboni sucks that ball up normally. It's a 3-1. The ball game's over.
Now here's Dave Bergman. 4-2, 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th inning with Whitaker on deck. Bergman is 0 for 3 tonight. Hit into a double play, bounced to first, and struck out as they will keep Lemon close. Lemon is not what you would call a good base stealer. Never has been. And the breaking pitch in and over. We said before the Tigers have come from behind after trailing by in the 7th inning or later 8 times. As a matter of fact, we're talking about Chet Lemon. He does not have a stolen base this year. The 1-strike pitch outside and low. The count 1-1, and Willie Hernandez starting to throw down in the Tiger bullpen. 4-2. The Royals on top, 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. There's a strike, and then once again, the Tigers are down to their final strike and their final out. There's a lot of theories in hitting a sinker ball pitcher like Dan Quisenberry. You talk to a lot of the old-time hitters, and they will tell you that the best way to do that is to move up in the box.
That's exactly right.
Bergman way back in the box. That's hit right back to Quisenberry. This ought to do it. He will go on to first, and the ball game is over. But in the 9th inning, the Tigers come up with 2 runs on 3 hits in air. They leave the tying runs aboard, and the final score from Tiger Stadium, it's the Kansas City Royals 4 and the Detroit Tigers 2. Saberhagen the winner, Petrie the loser, Balboni and Parrish with the home run.